Good morning, and thank you for joining us for SBB Live. I am your host and publisher of the Seniors Blue Book, Amanda Barton, and I am privileged today to be joined with a couple of residents from Amavida Living up in Fort Myers. Beautiful community there. I'm sure you guys love living there, and I can't wait to hear your story. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. I understand that you have a lot of humanitarian work that you do, and that you've traveled the world extensively. So I can't wait to hear all about it.
Okay, well, we have been married a little over 50 years, and we started life as Lutheran teachers, actually in New York City after graduating from college in the Chicago area. And that then took us to Hong Kong and on to Shanghai, China. And we lived in Hong Kong for 16 years and China for 12 years in Shanghai. So all of that is to say, when we returned to Florida in retirement, we came because Michael's parents were living here, and we had gotten to know the area a little bit from visiting them. And he has a sister who lives here, who at that point was employed by Lee Health. She was a nurse. So when we came back, it was like, okay, what are we going to do in repositioning? We never called it retirement, repositioning. And so we started looking around for things that we could contribute toward with all of our experience from living New York and Hong Kong and Shanghai and traveling, as you said, the world. So
I really like that repositioning. I think that that's an amazing way of looking at it versus moving into the next phase of your life. Absolutely.
Yeah, as an educator in Shanghai, or even in Hong Kong at one point, I had the opportunity to go to the Thai-Burma border to do teacher training for special courses. And I did this for several years. So that was kind of a unique opportunity. And both in Hong Kong and in Shanghai, we had opportunities beyond just what was happening in the school. Certain things became available. But here, now coming to Fort Myers, as an educator, I said, okay, it's time to learn something new. So I went to Habitat, and I learned how to help build houses. And I've been a volunteer building houses basically 3 days a week for almost 10 years now.
So it really turned him around a little bit. It was like, what am I really going to do with all this education?
My goodness, you don't know how to transition into retirement, do you?
Well, and initially when we first got here too, I said, we're going to have to find out a little bit about how Fort Myers works. So I signed us up to be poll workers, because that wasn't, we came back in 2010. So there were elections that fall and so forth. And we got trained, and I wanted to sit and say, hi, welcome. Who are you? Let me check you off the list. Well, we ended up being in charge, each of us, of a different polling place. And that's not what we really wanted to do, but we learned a lot and we met a lot of people. We have not continued that.
Oh my goodness.
We've been very involved with our own church, Zion Lutheran Church, right nearby Amavida on Winkler Road. So we've both been on various boards, and I'm chair of our early childhood board. We have an early childhood center, 2-year-olds to 4.5-year-olds. And I just love it. So I get to have my kid fix. We do not have grandchildren yet at this point. We may not, we don't know. So that's my grandkids fix, to go over there and enjoy reading stories and seeing them and participating in chapels and things like that.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I also got involved as a Golisano cuddler. So one evening a week, I've been able to go over and cuddle babies and do laundry.
Oh, that's adorable. It sounds like you have a mission for children, much like I do for seniors. I've been working in the senior industry for, probably 12, 14 years now. And the first decade of that was working directly with families, much like Rebecca does with the Amavida. And I missed that so much. So I started doing a lot of these programs not virtually, where I would actually come in and meet with you guys. So it feels really amazing to be able to still connect on that level, even though we're a screen apart. You're right here next to me in my heart.
Well, and living here, when we moved back here, we bought our first ever home in Laguna Lakes right down the road. So we watched Amavida being built, and we kept saying, and finally took the plunge to come and say, okay, what is this place? So that's how we got here.
That's amazing. So I used to live off of Gladiolus and Summerlin as well. And I watched the land get cleared, and the whole time you're thinking, what is going up there? What is going on? Because it didn't reveal itself as senior living until you could tell it was really senior living.
Right.
What else made you choose Amavida?
I think the amenities, I mean, basically, the one thing would be that it was brand new. So that moving in here, you would be coming in with a whole lot of new people, not trying to come into some place where you're kind of trying to figure out where you belong in that place. But the amenities, the swimming pool, the areas, being right next to Lakes Park, we can go in there and ride bikes or walk trails.
And it was a rental community. We were really into a rental community at that point in our lives. So, yeah. And as far as travel, we still have traveled. We are big Viking fans. So we've gone on several Viking ocean cruises since we've been retired. Yes. Been to the Mediterranean, to Cuba, to the Panama Canal, to the West Indies. So, yes.
And we've done a lot of other kind of traveling. We've traveled Russia. We've traveled a lot of places in China. We've traveled all kinds of places, Thailand, Bangkok, all that kind of Asian area. We've pretty well done. We've been all the way down to Australia and New Zealand.
I'm very envious of you. I am a very sheltered young lady. I've been out of the country just a few times, and I haven't even been to every state in the United States. I need to take a step back and travel the world. It seems like some amazing experiences that you probably have had. How long have you been married?
It'll be, we just celebrated 50 years this last year. So what we decided to do is not have a big party, but we went and visited all the members of our wedding party who are still living.
And took them out to dinner.
Yeah.
That's so special. You guys are also very creative.
We have one son, and he's a pastor in Illinois.
Okay.
But he's taken a new calling, and he's going back to Hong Kong, where he grew up. He went to Hong Kong International School from kindergarten to grade 12. Now he's going back to teach there. So we're excited about that.
That's fantastic. Give you an excuse to go back and see him, right?
Amen. Yes.
Now,
one other area that we are involved with is with the Red Cross and with emergency management. So we are shelter manager trained, and we have done sheltering for the 900 plus people
during Irma.
During Irma.
Well, Michael, you seem like you have all the traits that a lady's looking for. So, Lou, you're a lucky lady.
Amen.
I did hear that you are quite the piano player as well. Is that true?
Well, I play at piano. When we retired, my gift to myself as a retired person or a repositioned person was a baby grand piano. So we went down to visit the Steinway people in Bonita Springs. And it was so funny because he says, well, you need to play the Steinway. I said, I'm not putting all my money into a Steinway. Sorry, I'm not that good. Anyway, so we ended up with a piano. It's called a Kanabi, but it was one that somebody had used for a season and then resold back to the people. And so we got a nice discount on it. It's lovely. I love it. It's an ebony black. It fits in our little apartment. We have a 2-bedroom apartment, but it fits fine.
That's perfect. And you never know when you're starting something new if you're going to enjoy it as much as you thought you were. So going out and buying a brand new one was Probably not the smartest decision. And now that you know you love it, you have one that you love and you can enjoy and pass down along to your family, right?
Amen. Yes, for sure.
Awesome.
So we still got that travel bug. I was just looking before we came down. Viking has a new boat on the Mississippi. So they're starting in 2022. They're going to do from New Orleans to St. Paul, Minnesota, and back down again. So we're looking to do something like that because I've not done that river yet.
No, and I'll tell you what, now's probably the time to look into that because most people are not making travel plans. So I bet you could get a really good price. We were talking about that on one of my calls earlier that one of the people that are on there love to do cruises, and they said you can get unbelievable rates right now. So
yep.
Book your tickets and stay positive, right?
Amen. Well, we actually were in Shanghai at the time of SARS. So we went through this whole process.
That opens up a whole new can of worms. Tell us about that.
Well, the one thing with the school, that we already had laptops from grades 5 on up, and so that we had already experimented with online teaching. So way back then, we were pioneering operations with online classes.
Wow. So you guys really have been through this before in every way, shape, or form, huh?
Yes, and we actually stayed in Shanghai. Several of our teachers came home, and of course we have families that came home too because their company said, we want you to be safe. And that's what's happening now too. You know, people are here and there, but online learning is continuing.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So do you have any advice for us that are newbies to this?
I think exactly what you hear everyone saying, follow the rules, because we want to get over it sooner than later. So we don't want it to hang on and hang on.
Right. So don't rush the process, right?
Correct. Yes.
And I do caution people on how much information they have available for people to see on the web, or so that I think people need to keep watch over their personal information.
Mr. Weber, do you mean that you can't trust everything you see online?
This is the technology director talking, that's for sure. Never trust technology, he used to tell the teachers.
That's a real thing, and I believe there's a lot of fake news and miscommunication out there in regards to not just this virus, but the world itself.
Amen. One of the hardest things was coming back to the news that we had here in the States, because we were used to BBC or CNN or whatever overseas, and then a worldview, whereas here, more than not, it was just more the States' views.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sure has been a pleasure to get to know the both of you. Thank you so much for coming on with me for SBB Live today. And
Thank you.
I really can't wait to sit down with you in person. But until then, it was nice to get to know you.
Bye-bye.
再见.
Thank you so much.